If you're like most players, when you're comping and come across a 2-5, you likely play the prescribed changes. That is, if you see a D minor 7 and G7, maybe you play a D minor 9 and a G13. Who knows? If you're more advanced, maybe you'll even throw in a tritone substitution for the 5-7 and instead play a D minor 9 and a D flat 7, which in turn is still a form of 2-5. But did you know that with a deeper understanding of how functional harmony works, you can reharmonize all or most of the space occupied by a 2-5? This is a great alternative to always having to play those predictable and sometimes repetitive changes. I'm Richie Zellen, and in this lesson I am going to show you a harmonic concept that will add a whole new dimension to your comping over dozens of standards. For starters, I want to show you a couple of examples of this concept, after which I will show you the theory behind it. So let's take a minor 2-5-1 where the 2-5 is over two measures, F sharp minor 7 flat 5 and B7 flat 9 resolving to the E minor. Now let me reharmonize the first measure with a whole new set of chords. Now, you might be wondering where you would apply something like this. Well, anywhere that you have a minor 2-5-1 where the 2-5 lasts two measures. For example, let's take Autumn Leaves. I can apply it over the last four measures of the A section. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could instead also apply it over the B section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or maybe over the initial two measures of night and day, but resolved to a major instead of minor. So instead of 1, 2, 3, play it like this. 1, 2. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the bridge of All the Things You Are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let me show you a different example. While the previous one featured a descending progression in the reharmonization, this one features an ascending progression. And again, let's use a minor 2-5-1, this time where the 2-5 lasts over just one measure. E minor 7 flat 5 and A7 flat 9 resolving to D minor. And let me reharmonize the 2-5 with an entirely different set of diatonic chords. G minor 7, A minor 7, B flat major 7, and C7 followed by the D minor. So I'm going to go. So where can we use this? How about over the second measure of Alone Together? 1, 2, 3, 4. Or over the second measure of Summertime. And this one is in the key of A. 1, 2, 3. Or over the second measure of Softly as in a Morning Sunrise. This one's in C minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are all minor tunes, but you can also apply it to tunes in major. For example, the second measure of Confirmation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or over the second measure of Come Rain or Come Shine. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you like what you heard, there are many, many other possibilities, not only reharmonizing two fives, but also other harmonic cadences. However, if you want to learn to freely apply the concept, it's important that you first understand the procedure and the theory of how and why this works. Before I go over it, I want you to know that I have prepared a study package you can download containing a PDF with regular notation and tab with an additional 5 reharmonization concepts, each showing you 2 different fingerings for the chords. This way you can apply them in different areas of the fretboard. It also explains the procedure for each reharmonization, as well as the exact measure in several suggested standards where you can apply it. And all of this is available for download from jazzguitar.richiezelland.com/premium, and you will find it under mini courses. So next, let me explain the theory. Let's start with how it works. Here's the 2-5-1 initially played, where the 2-5 has a 2-measure duration. Let me move the 2 minor 7 flat 5 to the first half of the second measure and move the 5-7 flat 9 to its final half. In the first measure, all I am going to do is ascend from the root of the 2 minor 7 flat 5 using 4 consecutive scale degrees diatonic to the key. I know this probably sounds more complicated than what it is, so let me explain. We are in E minor because in this instance, that is our target resolution. So our scale is E natural minor, also known as the Aeolian mode. So we see that the root of the 2 minor is F sharp. If we go up 4 consecutive steps from F sharp using the E minor natural scale, we will get G, A, B, and C. So now we want to reverse the order so that the C, B, A, and G descend in stepwise motion to the F sharp. Finally, we want to harmonize each root with the chords that diatonically correspond to those scale degrees in E natural minor. Of course, they are C major 7, B minor 7, A minor 7, and G major 7 in the first measure, progressing to F sharp minor 7 and B7 flat 9 in the second measure, and finally resolving to E minor. So in essence, we are back cycling to our final target chord. If you examine it closely, you'll notice that I've managed to include the 7 diatonic chords that make up the key of E natural minor in the space previously occupied by the 3, 2, 5, 1 chords. And the result is very colorful and adds a considerable amount of harmonic motion. That said, please use this concept sparingly. Remember, it is used to occasionally add an unexpected turn where we would normally expect to hear a simple 2-5. So now let me explain why it works. You see, everything in functional harmony can be reduced to one of 3 functions: the tonic or 1 chord, the subdominant or 4 chord, and the dominant or 5 chord. The remaining 4 of the 7 diatonic chords that belong to the key all fall under one of the 3 primary functions. As a result, any primary function chord can be reharmonized with any secondary function chord pertaining to the same category. So, with this in mind, let's analyze the reharmonization I previously played. What we did was substitute a 2 minor 7 flat 5 and 5 7 flat 9 resolving to a minor chord. If analyzed within a major tonality, for the first measure we played 4 major 7, 3 minor 7, 2 minor 7, 1 major 7, and for the second measure we played the 7 minor 7 flat 5 and a secondary dominant, or the 5-7 of the 6 minor. And finally, of course, resolving to that 6 minor. So the initial measure, the 4 major 7, is the primary subdominant. The 3 minor 7 is a secondary tonic chord. The 2 minor 7 is a secondary subdominant chord, and the 1 major 7, of course, is the primary tonic. And in the second measure, the 7 minor 7 flat 5 is a secondary dominant chord followed by a secondary dominant, resolving down to the 6 minor, which is a secondary tonic chord. Boy, a lot of secondary chords there. And this final 6 minor chord is also known as the relative minor. And notice that with the exception of the secondary dominant, the entire progression here can be reduced to the 3 primary functions, which would make it subdominant, tonic, subdominant, tonic followed by dominant, and secondary dominant, resolving to tonic. Literally what we are doing here in primary function terms is playing a C major 7, G major 7, C major 7, G major 7, then a D7, a B7 flat 9, and resolving to a G major 7. The same principles apply to this reharmonization concept regardless of whether it's in a major or minor key, or if the progression descends or ascends to the target resolution chord. It's a matter of understanding the diatonic chords that make up the key you're in and their function. So I want to encourage you to download the study package, because in it I've already done most of the work for you, so you don't have to waste time figuring out how and where to apply it. For those of you who are still with me, I would very much appreciate your likes, comments, and welcome any questions. And if you enjoyed this lesson, please be sure to subscribe. And don't forget to click on the bell icon so you will be notified of my upcoming lessons. I look forward to another info-filled lesson next week. And until then, be sure to practice, 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 and then practice some more. May peace be with you. See you soon.